Hey guys, welcome back to Procrastinating Pretty. I'm going to do my top five favorite brushes and top five least favorite MAC brushes. When I first started doing makeup and started getting really into brushes, I had this huge MAC dream. And it wasn't really looking to own the entire collection because I know which ones won't work for my face or for my technique, but I definitely had a very defined list of which ones I wanted. I spent hours researching which ones would be best and I got a little crazy. But now that I pretty much have all the ones that I want, it's been a really good opportunity for me to kind of figure out what works and which ones I like and which ones don't. And I thought this would be really helpful for anybody who doesn't have that many brushes or is looking to start a new collection or is just looking to find out more about MAC brushes. So yeah, let's get into it. My first brush that I love, and I think is probably everyone's favorite, is the MAC 217. This is a clamped, fluffy eyeshadow brush, which means that it's not too round, so it'll be just kind of directional enough for you to buff in a certain direction. Because I find a lot of round brushes kind of just buff everywhere, and there's not really as much control, but this is great. I love this. This is such a soft brush, and ever since I got it, I haven't done an eyeshadow look without it, so that's an amazing brush. And actually, it's funny, is Christine from Temptalia really doesn't like that brush, it's not in her top favorites, which is really funny. My first disliked brush, I guess, is the MAC 224, and I know this is really, really popular, not just on the blogosphere. I think I've seen so many makeup artists use this, and I mean, they work wonders with it. I really don't like it for myself. I've used it on other people and it's better, but what I find is that this brush is really fluffy. You can tell how big it kind of gets, especially compared to the MAC 217. You can tell how much more dispersed the bristles are, but it also kind of tapers to a point at the top. So all you're really hitting with the tip of the brush is that point up in the middle. The thing is, the bristles aren't quite soft enough to make this a comfortable sort of feathering brush, so it just, I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. It feels scratchy on my eye area, and I don't like that just because I don't know, maybe my eyes are sensitive, but yeah, it just really doesn't work out. And I tried it for concealer just because I know a lot of people like it for concealer around the mouth and under the eye, but it's so scratchy that it doesn't leave a nice finish. So yeah, I don't know, that's kind of a mess. But another brush that I really like is another eye brush from MAC. It's the 239, and it's just the thinnest shader brush I've ever found, which is a great thing. The reason I like a thin shader brush is that it's this one's just narrow and thin enough to line under my eye and to kind of do a cut crease if I wanted to. A lot of shader brushes are much thicker, bulkier this way, and then you kind of just get a wash of color. I think if you're gonna get a bulky eyeshadow brush, you're just better off with the 217 from MAC as well, just because it'll offer a much nicer finish if you're going to use that many bristles and cover that much surface to begin with. And my next disliked brush is the 109, and I know this is another, I don't know, this is kind of a love or hate brush. A lot of people really like it. I've heard people like it for foundation, but it just does not work for me. And I'm not talking about I'm not expecting a natural hairbrush to be able to buff, color directly into my skin. So what I do is I applied it with my fingers and then use this to kind of get a nice finish, and it shed like a holy mother. I mean, it just kind of left hairs all over my face, and I eventually had to use another brush just to buff off all those hairs. So yeah, that didn't work out. Oh, and the thing I'm most bitter about is that the first time I used my Chanel cream bronzer, I used this brush and it left a hair behind, and now I can't get it out without gouging the product, so I'm leaving it in there. But I have a feeling that's supremely unhygienic, but I don't want to gouge the product because I would be really sad if that happened. So I don't know. I mean, probably the reason I don't like this brush is just that resentment there. I've given it an olive oil bath, and it seems to have held on to the bristles a little bit better, but every time I wash it, I mean, it just loses 3 more. I have a feeling if I continue to use this for the next year, it'll just be completely naked. We'll find out. My next liked brush from MAC is my first MAC brush ever. It was the 187, and it's a duo fiber brush, so it's got some longer synthetic hairs, which are the white bristles, and it's got a natural hair base. So what you do is you kind of use the synthetic hairs to stipple on your foundation, and then just kind of use the natural hairs to buff it in. And then afterwards, I found that's not quite enough blending for me, so afterwards I'd like to use the white hairs again just to really softly blend away any lines or streaks. That said, I don't really like this for foundation that much. What I really prefer it for is bronzer, powder, or cream. Both are great, and it just kind of fits perfectly right into this like area where I like to bronze and create a little bit of shadow. It's also really, really nice for really pigmented blushes, so it's just really easy to tap and then just kind of place it on where you want, and then, you know, just use the black bristles to work the product into your skin. So that is amazing. Oh, and for loose powder, this is a godsend because I don't like a really cakey matte finish, so whenever I use powder, I use this brush, and it's fantastic for like an all over powder anyway. Next disliked brush is the MAC 219. Okay, I'm not sure. This is 219, yeah. This is kind of one of those detail brushes, those like pencil point brushes. I like the idea of these. I mean, I have such small eyes that these are really helpful for me. My only thing is, this is really scratchy. It's really too pointy to use under the eye or anywhere that you'd kind of be doing detail work like that. Maybe for a cut crease it'd be okay, but I use it mostly in the inner corner and underneath my eye to give a little highlight, and it's really, really scratchy. It's like really uncomfortable. I mean, yeah, I can't even... I don't use it for that anymore. Now I use it more for pinpoint concealing, which that it's great for, but around the eye it's too scratchy. I have yeah, they're way better brushes than this one for that work. My next liked brush is the MAC 227. This is one of the softer MAC brushes that exist, I think. It's just a massive flat shader brush. I'm going to compare it to the 239 for you. And it's really, really big. I mean, it like covers my entire lid. I have used this as a base shadow brush. It's nice, but I mean, if you have really small eyes or really small lid space, it won't work for you. But what I really love for this is just to kind of finish off a look. So if I've kind of not blended colors together enough, this comes in really handy. It's also really nice for highlights, so I've kind of just used it to highlight my brow bone and on top of the cheek, down the nose. Really nice for the Cupid's bow. And yeah, it's such a versatile little brush. It's also great for concealer, like right around the nose. But it's, again, there are synthetic brushes that you could use for that. But it's just, I really do appreciate how soft this is, but at the same time it picks up a lot of color, which is great. And my next disliked brush is the MAC 129. I originally bought this to use for powder just because I don't like really big powder brushes. I think they tend to pick up way too much product and it's just hard to control, but this is actually a really nice size just to kind of go around your mouth and your forehead and around your nose. Again, the thing I don't like is that it's really, really insanely scratchy. I mean, I do not know what it is with these big powder brushes from MAC, but they're so abrasive. I can't even, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I think these are supposed to be, I don't know what these are made of. I should really find out. If I find out, I'll put it in the bottom bar below. But they're just, I mean, I've tried, this one doesn't shed as much as the 109. I've tried bathing it in olive oil just to condition them. It's helped a little, but I think it'll probably take another 3 or 4 olive oil baths for it to work. And I really don't like the idea that I'm paying as much as I am for one of these brushes and that I have to work with it so hard to get it to work. It does put down color like beautifully, but just the scratchiness kind of limits it from blending it out as nicely as it would. So unfortunate, but yeah. My fifth top favorite brush from MAC is their Kabuki brush. This is a MAC 182. Way better than the Makeup Forever Kabuki. I have both, and this one's just so much softer, so much more uniformly dense. Like it's a perfect sort of density all over, and there's no patchy parts, there's no sort of unevenness, and it's perfectly round. And what I use this for is just to kind of buff in my makeup after it's all done. So after I've put on the blush, bronzer, highlight, powder, whatever, I just kind of go over everything to make sure it's really, really blended and just give myself a really flawless finish. This would also be really good for kind of like highlighting body areas or tanning yourself, but they do make a body brush for that, so if this is a little bit small for you. But this is just one of the softest brushes ever. I don't use Kabukis often, I've never been like, ooh, I'm gonna have like 5 kabuki brushes, but I'm really glad I have this one just because I don't really feel the need to look for anything else. So that is an amazing brush. And my last kind of miss for MAC brushes is the 116, the 116. It's a blush brush, and it's kind of like slightly smaller than the 129. I dislike this one the least out of all the ones I've shown you, but it's, again, just really, really scratchy. This has improved the most with the olive oil conditioning bath that I give them, and it has shed the least, which is why I'm the least unhappy with it. It's actually a gorgeous, like, it's a really nice shape for blush and for powder as well, actually, if you wanted to do some detailed powdering. But again, it's just really way too scratchy. There are softer blush brushes out there for the same price. I think the Chanel one wouldn't be much more expensive. And that one's nice. Or what is another good blush brush? You know what, the CQ blush brush is better than this one in terms of like softness. But again, it comes down to kind of the shape of your cheeks and what works for you. Out of the 109, 129, and the 116, I would get the 116 because it's kind of narrow enough to fit on any size cheek, but it's like, again, just the most usable out of all three. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and if you want me to do more brush reviews, let me know. I might do a brush collection, just kind of like run through what brushes I have or which ones I use the most often, or I can do a top 10 brush thing. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below or on the blog post. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!